This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
All of the phones are out, and it will be a gold medal for the host nation.
He's up to silver medal. He's gone. And Great Britain have won the gold medal in the boulder and lead. Toby Roberts, the 19-year-old from Surrey with 155 points, has won gold for Great Britain.
And the young man from Lewisham is going to take the gold medal here. It's going to be an individual gold medal for Alex Yee and Team GB. The first cold snap of the winter, so what better timing than to continue our switch to focus on the Winter Olympics and Winter Paralympics. We're moving on to Milano Cortina. I'm Michael.
And I'm John, and this is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympics podcast. Less than 3 months to go, a major test event for the Winter Games on the new bobsleigh and skeleton track in Cortina this week.
Michael Weddock's Winter Wonders.
And the ice skating world has been busy with recent championships. We'll round it all up for you. And we'll hear from a British ice dance duo hoping to make their Olympic debuts in Milan.
And talking of which, the official countdown to the 2026 Games gathers pace this week in New York, at the UN, and in Greece with the lighting of the flame.
Yep, it's all happening. This is Anything But Footy. Stay in touch with us all the time across all of our social media platforms. We love to get your messages there and your DMs. And don't forget, you can read more about us, listen to what we do, and find out a little bit about what we're thinking in our latest blogs, all on our website, anythingbutfooty.com. Now, Cortina staged the Winter Olympics back in 1956, but we have a brand new sliding centre. The bob and skeleton track is being put to the test as we speak at the moment. Now, I mentioned the 1956 Olympics because that was the original Cortina sliding centre, but they have purpose-built and reconstructed a brand new sliding centre ahead of the next Olympic Games early in 2026. Now, you might know the Eugenio Monti track if you're a James Bond fan, as I am, because it featured in the film For Your Eyes Only, which is one of my favourite James Bond movies. That's the one with the Lotus, by the way, and it's the one that has a real winter sport theme, and it stars Roger Moore, and it's one of the things I'm most excited about going to Cortina and seeing the Olympic Games, of course, and the fact that I can combine it with another one of my passions, James Bond movies as well. So super excited for that.
I love the fact that you're excited because it's something to do with James Bond. While Eugenio Monti is like the famous two-time Olympic bobsleigh champion from Italy. They called him the Flying Red after his gold medals in Grenoble in 1968. But you're just interested in Roger Moore and James Bond.
A little bit of Roger Moore and James Bond. Yeah. I mean, when he drove into Cortina with his Lotus and the skis on the back, that's kind of in my head how I'm going to arrive in Cortina for the Olympic Games, maybe without the Lotus and the skis on the back. It did, as I say, though, host the 1956 Olympic Games. It last hosted a World Cup event back in 2008. Now, the original plan when Milano Cortina bid for these games was to do an upgrade for the track, the sliding centre that they used in Torino in 2006. Then they came up with another plan when they realised that that one maybe wasn't going to work, and they were going to hold some of the sliding events outside of Italy. Now, that has happened at the Olympic Games before. If you remember back to the Olympics in 1956 in Melbourne, they held the equestrian events in Stockholm because they deemed at the time that they couldn't take all the horses to Australia. So there is a precedence there. But I think what they have done is come up with the best solution, and that is a completely revamped upgrade sliding centre in Cortina, which is one of the main centres, one of the main clusters of the Games. It's currently, as I say, being used for training ahead of the opening round of the bobsleigh and the skeleton World Cup, which takes place this weekend.
Well, I can give you some details on that, Michael, because Marcus Wyatt, Matt Weston and Jacob Salisbury have all been training on it in the men's skeleton so far this week. They were in the first group out on the first day of training, and in time-wise, Matt was third overall after 2 runs. There were 3 in total, but the British team didn't compete in the third one, so a reasonable start there. Tabitha Stoker, Freya Tarbett and Amelia Coltman all in action too in the women's skeleton. Tabitha was 9th in one of the 2 runs that she took part in, also in that Group 1. There was then a whole Group 2 session with different countries in the afternoon. And also they tested out the bob as well. So Brad Hall in the 2-man and Adele Nichol in the 2 women's bob have both been practicing as well. So they're on the ice. It is working. You mentioned some of the issues that they had really in the build-up to the game. There was the sabotage, I think, as well, a couple of years ago when a huge refrigeration pipe was disconnected and dumped at some point right in the middle of the centre. So look, there were concerns that it wouldn't be ready, but the first sliders went down it in March earlier this year. A big thumbs up from the athletes and the coaches. And the Cortina Sliding Centre, as you say, is what it's going to be known as during the Games. It has already been selected as the venue for the Dolomiti Valtellini 2028 Winter Youth Olympic Games, following its official designation in Lausanne in January earlier this year. So it's up and running, and we will see the first World Cup results this coming weekend.
Just talk you through some of the geography of the Games for people that, like us, are just getting their minds really super sharply focused on these Winter Olympics. The sliding sports, that's the bobsleigh, luge and skeleton, as we said, at the sliding centre in Cortina. There'll also be curling, biathlon and some alpine skiing taking place in Cortina. So that will feel, I think, like a Winter Games because it's going to be mountainous. There's going to be snow there, we hope. It will look and feel like a Winter Olympic Games. You've obviously got the Milan cluster. That's where it will all kick off at the San Siro Stadium. That's going to be the venue for the opening ceremony before they knock it down and rebuild it. Closing ceremony, incidentally, is going to be in Verona in a much smaller complex there. So that's not going to be in Milan. You've got ice hockey taking place in Milan. You've got the ice park there, which will have some ice hockey and some speed skating, and the ice skating arena will be there as well. And that's where, all being well, I'll be based for the duration of the Games. Looking forward to catching up with our ice skaters, and we'll hear more about them shortly. Then you've got the Valtellina cluster as well. Some more alpine skiing there, some snowboarding, some freestyle skiing, and the brand new sport at these Games, which is ski mountaineering. Now, they've often at the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, tried new snow sports. We had essentially what was ski ballet back in the 80s, sort of ski dancing, if you like. That was interesting. You could check out some videos of that on YouTube. But we've got ski mountaineering at this one. And then you've got the Val di Fiemme complex, the cluster there, which will be ski jumping, some cross-country skiing and Nordic combined.
It's going to be interesting that it is across 2 cities. I think it's the first ever Winter Games that's across 2 cities, Cortina and Milan and the other sites, as you say. But yeah, very, very interesting. And I can't believe there was skiing dancing. I mean, that's the kind of thing that James Bond might have done.
He had an excellent ski suit. I think it was yellow from memory for your eyes. It would have looked good on the Strictly Ballroom dance floor. I've got to be honest with you. So yeah, that's just some of the background to the games, and we of course will be keeping you in touch with it every week here on Anything But Footy. We've got loads and loads of stuff to come ahead of the Winter Olympics. We're going to be putting a real focus on our snow sport athletes coming up soon. We've also been speaking to some of those names that you've mentioned in some of the sliding sports, and the team announcements are coming thick and fast as well. We understand the ice skating team will be announced imminently, and more on that in a moment.
Yeah, that to come, but it is a big week or so for events in the countdown to the Winter Olympics as well. In New York, the UN headquarters, the Olympic Truce Resolution will be introduced tomorrow as we record, so Wednesday, November 19th. Dates back to ancient games in Olympia, where the truce aimed to see a halt to hostilities, allowing safe passage for athletes and spectators to the Olympics and Paralympics. We wish and hope that that is the case this time. We know, sadly, in 2022 that Russia ignored that truce after the Beijing Olympics and before the Paralympics, when they decided to invade Ukraine further. And they were, of course, banned from the movement, and athletes competing neutrally once again in Milano. So hopefully this Olympic truce will mean more. Hosts Italy will formally introduce the resolution at the UN, and then Kirsty Coventry, the new IOC president, will also be speaking as well. All this before the big moment, the big Olympic flame for Milano Cortina 2026. It'll be lit in ancient Olympia in Greece on Wednesday, November 26th. Then I'll go around Greece before arriving in Athens on Thursday, December 4th, for the official handover ceremony at the Panathinaik Stadium. Of course, then it is then going around as the torch relay in Italy from Rome, the capital, to all 20 regions in Italy, 110 provinces, 300 cities and municipalities, and all ahead of the opening ceremony on February 6th, as Michael mentioned earlier, at the San Siro Stadium in Milan. We will bring you more on this with the weeks to come, but it's getting close.
Hi, I'm Lilah Fear.
And I'm Lewis Gibson, and you're listening to Anything But Footy,
with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
So we've mentioned ice skating, figure skating a few times already in the podcast. Let's bring you up to date with where we are. And firstly, some success, big success for Lilah Fear and Lewis Gibson. They won a gold medal at the recent NHK Trophy in Osaka. That's part of the ISU Grand Prix circuit. That means they've now qualified for the ISU Grand Prix final, which takes place in Japan in December. The world bronze medalists have also won a silver medal this year at the French Grand Prix, so they've been on the podium twice. It was a season's best performance. They do the rhythm dance, which they have been doing to some Spice Girls, and then they do the free dance, which is a kind of a Scottish inspired. You'll expect to hear some proclaimers in that. They've got these magnificent tartan outfits as well. Again, if you want to have a look at that, you can go and check out our socials, see some pictures and some shares there. They've now won 10 Grand Prix medals in their career. They are currently ranked world number one as well. And they are, I guess, the natural successors to Torvill and Dean, who back in 1984 in Sarajevo won gold. 10 years later, they came back, won a bronze in Lillehammer. Lots of people still think they were robbed of the gold medal there. And what I love about Lilah and Lewis, and I've spoken to them a few times, and occasionally Lewis and I will message each other, is they just totally embrace the Torvill and Dean thing. Because you could understand, I could completely and utterly understand if they were utterly sick of comparisons to Torvill and Dean. And they are, as I said, as a world ranked number one at the minute. They've had a great season. So they are a really, really big, strong hope to be on the Olympic podium. And obviously, we've got another major championships in Sheffield, which is the European Championships as well. You'll have the World, the Europeans, and the Olympics all in quite a sort of congested little period of time. And I think they are a real genuine medal contender. And when that happens, the country will go daft with the Torvill and Dean comparisons. And people probably don't realise it at the moment, how big a deal that's going to be. So the pair will now head to that Grand Prix final in Japan, which takes place between the 5th and 8th of December. The British Championships, by the way, going to be in Sheffield on November the 26th. And then, as I said, next year, Olympic Games, World Championships and European Championships, all in Sheffield as well, the European Championships. And I should also mention, just on quota places and qualification as far as figure skating is concerned. So we're going to have, from Great Britain, Team GB, 2 ice dance pairs. So we know that Lewis and Lilah will probably be one of those. Then we're going to have another pair. So we're going to have 2 ice dance duos to avoid confusion. Then we'll have a pair. So there's a pair that have qualified a quota place. And there is also a women's singles quota place, which was qualified by Christian Spurs because she finished 22nd at the World Championships, which took place in Boston earlier in 2025. So potentially you could have 7 figure skaters from Great Britain. So the 2 ice dance duos, the pair, and then in the women's singles as well.
And with you based in Milan, you're going to be busy speaking to them in their daily competitions.
Cast your mind back to the very, very first episode we ever did of Anything But Footy. You asked me what my first Olympic memory was, and it was Torvill and Dean. So neatly, all these years later, going to be back for the first time ever at a Winter Olympic arena watching figure skating again, and hopefully a British medal.
Well, talking of Jane and Christopher and ice dance, and Michael mentioned there the quota places. Great Britain, Team GB has 2 places in the ice dance. Hoping to make their Olympic debuts for Team GB in the ice dance are Phebe and James. That's Phoebe Bekker and James Hernandez. The reigning British silver medalists have just made their first senior Grand Prix debut at the Skate America event in Lake Placid in New York in the last few days. It shows how far they've come after a brilliant World Championships, as Michael was saying. Now, the pair have a Romeo and Juliet theme this year, and they finished 7th in the free dance and then 8th overall in the ice dance, moving up to 34th in the world rankings. Now, Americans Madison Chock and Evan Bates won the gold medal. They're 2nd in the world rankings now, behind Lilah and Lewis. But get this, it's the 5th time the Montreal-based team, that's Madison Chock and Evan Bates, have won Skate America. They first won it in 2014. And the USA have won Skate America 16 times in the last 17 years. I'm not saying anything apart from, well, it's called Skate America. Oh, and the Americans have won. But anyway, we will move on. We'll see how Lilah and Lewis and, of course, the others get on. But let's hear from Phoebe and James, because Michael caught up with them to find out more about them.
Hi, I'm James Hernandez, and I represent Great Britain for ice dance.
And I'm Phoebe Bekker, and I also represent Great Britain.
How do you reflect on the season you just had, James?
I think it was the culmination of so much hard work and also the most exciting season of our career. We set a goal at the beginning to qualify that quota spot for the games, and we succeeded in doing that in Boston, and it was probably the most fun at a competition I've ever had. So yeah, looking forward to a season of home Europeans, an Olympic Games, and then a World Championships only happens every 4 years.
And was the focus last season to book that quota place for the games? Was that the big aim?
Definitely. We actually have a whiteboard that we train with, and it's very funny. I love it. We have our daily goals and everything, but at the bottom of our whiteboard, it's long-term goals or goals for the year, and it was qualify for the Olympics. Seeing those rings every day going into training, it was so much inspiration that we needed, and it was perfect having that. So yeah, definitely that was the main goal. But also I think we had such a great year in general. I think having that goal, it really pushed us for every single competition, and it really reflected in our results. And I think we're really proud of that it reflected throughout the whole year and not just at the end.
I speak and interview a lot of Olympians and Paralympians. Many of them say to me they have the date of their final, if you like, ringed in their calendar. Is that the same for you guys? Did you have the 2026 Milano Cortina dates ringed? They're in the diary, they're immovable?
We had those Olympic rings next to the date for Worlds, actually, because we knew that without that step, we wouldn't get here. Mm-hmm. And so it was much more, yes, we want to be at the games, but that step that we had to take at World Championships alongside Lilah and Lewis to qualify the 2 spots was just at the front of our mind, I think, getting on the ice every day.
What would it mean to you to be an Olympian?
Wow, I couldn't even imagine it. My whole life growing up in this sport, you're doing it every step of the day, you're doing it every day, just get in, day out. You're never like, oh, like this is for me personally, I was never like, oh, this is what I want to do in my life. This is it. This is every single day was just enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, trusting where I needed to be, and taking short-term goals to create that long-term goal of going to the Olympics. But I never made myself like so overwhelmed with the whole process, because it was just so enjoyable. It's such an enjoyable sport that, you know, it was never like, oh, this is the goal that, like, I've got to get through this for this goal. Because at the end of the day, like, life is after the Olympics as well. So I think that it's just so special that, you know, Olympics is like this amazing thing that we can go to, but there's also so much more afterwards as well. So I think going to the Olympics, that is just going to be an amazing experience that I'm hopefully very looking forward to going to. Yeah.
And James, when I asked that question, I saw you kind of look to the ceiling there. I hope that wasn't because, oh no, not this question again. No. I hope it was more a case of you were just trying to compute the answer, your answer, in your mind.
Yeah, it was a very reflective thought, just thinking about it, because from a young age, you know, the pinnacle of any sport is the Olympics. And like Phoebe said, it's not when you're a kid and you're putting the groundwork in, you're going into the rink every day going, I'm going to go to this Olympic Games. It's nothing like that at all. And even being here talking to you, and still doesn't feel like we're doing it. Yeah. But we've done everything to this point to get us here, where we are having the opportunity to go to an Olympic Games. And I think that rather than people say, oh, you know, the pressure and all of that, it actually feels like, just sitting here thinking about it now, it's actually like the culmination of a lifetime's work. And I'm sure that's what all athletes feel like. It's like a reward for the years of putting in the work when no one's watching. And also, I don't know, a reward to ourselves, because without those decisions that you make, you don't even put yourself anywhere near an Olympic Games.
That's Phoebe Bekker and James Hernandez, who will be hoping to be named officially by Team GB imminently for the Olympic Games. Just to bring up to date, they are an ice dance duo. So that's one of 4 ice skating disciplines. They'll do a rhythm dance where there's required elements, a technical program. Then they'll do the free dance, which has some required elements, but that is the more choreographed piece. And they told me that is the one they enjoy most. This is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic podcast. Coming up, we will have more news from the Games.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
Hi, I'm Eve Muirhead. I'm Chef de Mission. You're listening to Anything But Footy with the latest on the Winter Olympics.
So we are expecting more than 50 athletes to be named by Team GB in December and January, and the first Paralympic GB athletes too. So far, we've got 10 confirmed, all in the sport of curling. Team Mert will be looking to upgrade their silver in Beijing from 2022. Bruce Mert and Jen Dodds will then also team up in the mixed curling. That actually will be at the start of the curling program at the Games, starting their bid for a medal 2 days before the opening ceremony actually kicks off at the San Siro. The 2-time European bronze medalist, Team Morrison, will take over as the defending women's champions, of course, as we discussed in our recent episode with Eve Muirhead. Rebecca Morrison is joined by the Olympic champion Jen Dodds, skip Sophie Jackson and Sophie Sinclair. Now, Faye Henderson has also been named officially by Team GB. She is the alternate. And if you're wondering what one of those is, well, I went to find out.
I'm really looking forward to, obviously, the Olympic Games is the pinnacle of curling of our sport. It's always nice to play in the World Championships and on tour in the slams and things, but the Olympic Games is a really special one, so I'm really looking forward to it.
And it is a sport, isn't it, that captures the public imagination. I mean, I wish it could capture the public imagination more than once every 4 years, but for the Winter Games, people do go crazy for it. Why is that?
I think everyone loves the fact that you can hear all the players. We've all got microphones on, so you can hear us chatting away. And it's a very physical sport, but you can also hear the tactical thought behind it, which I think is very interesting for people that don't know anything about curling. Obviously, there's a lot of lingo that is maybe sometimes difficult to understand, but curling definitely attracts the crowds at the Olympics, which I think makes it even more special for us as athletes.
And tell us about your role then, and how you are going to have to be ready when we get to the Winter Games.
So as the alternate, it's a bit more of a unique role. So I have to be ready at all times to be able to play if there's an illness, an injury, or just somebody gets swapped out. But at night, I'm the one that's always up late. Behind the scenes, we stone match at night, so all the stones are not the same either. And I have to try and find if there's anything different about them and make sure that the skip has the best pair for their last stones so that they don't have to make any adjustments at all and can be confident playing. So it's a lot of late nights and then early mornings back up to join the team, but it's worth it for performance.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Beijing, but I was on the radio in the middle of the night watching the gold medal stone, a moment of destiny for Eve Muirhead. What shape are the team in this time around?
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, Jen was in that Olympic winning team, so she carries a lot of experience, which will definitely help the rest of us. Experience is valuable when it comes to curling, just knowing the atmosphere and maybe a few people and how to deal with the pressure is definitely the biggest thing.
And Eve's now the boss, of course, the chef de mission, so she's kind of been elevated in the structure.
Yeah, she's there for any wise words if we need her. She's obviously very friendly towards the curling, and I'm sure she will be to every other sport as well. Provide a bit of wisdom to everybody in Team GB. But definitely for the curling, it'd be really special to make Eve proud.
What does it mean to you to have the Team GB kit on, to be part of the travelling contingent, if you like, for the Olympics?
It's definitely been a goal of mine for a long time. I always chased 2030, knowing that I could maybe make 2026. I knew I'd be on the younger side and I knew I'd have to work hard for it. So to be here is absolutely amazing. It means everything because, as I said, it's the pinnacle of curling. And as much as it's nice to go to the World Championships and represent Scotland, you don't get that chance to represent GB very often.
And obviously we know about this great tapestry of curling history from Rona and her teammates in 2002 through to Eve in 2022. What would it mean to, be there again, be on that podium, potentially bring another medal back?
Yeah, that'd be great for the sport of curling as well, just from a funding perspective. I was only a couple of weeks old when Rona won her medal, so then to be able to properly watch Eve and remember that is amazing. And I think it's something just for the presence of curling and your own national pride, it's the best thing that you could ever do. I mean, everyone expects you to go to the Olympics and almost come home with a medal these days, so the pressure's on, but looking forward to it and we'll put our best performance out there.
Fun enough, I was probably watching Rona in the middle of the night as well. But so this one's going to be special because you're going to be on the radio in prime time in the UK. You're going to be doing it when people are able to watch and listen and follow.
Yeah, I think that makes it even better for curling, people being able to watch. You don't need to be a super committed curling fan to be up in the middle of the night for a final or anything like that. All the games will be on during telly time, which is nice. And it makes it a little bit more of a fan experience, but also nice for friends and family to be able to tune in.
Curler Faye Henderson on being the alternate for the reigning Olympic champions, talking to Michael. And the curling, Michael, is obviously, as you said earlier in the podcast, based in Cortina at the Olympic arena there, but it lasts the whole games. So it starts before the opening ceremony, but I think the women's final is on the final day. The gold medal's on the final day.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those sports that just unfolds. And I think that's why it captures the public imagination, because it's like a drama that, unfolds in a number of parts. And obviously, it's fantastic that we're going to have a mixed team. We're going to have a men's team. We're going to have a women's team. So there's going to be British interest pretty much throughout. And of course, if they get through what will be the pool stage where everyone has to play everybody, they get into those knockout stages, then that's when the interest really ramps up as well. Just before we move on to some other news from the games, just to mention a couple of results for GB Snow Sport. Laurie Taylor finished 4th in their sort of first outing of the season, and Dave Riding finished 7th. I was reading Vicky Gosling, who's the CEO of GB Snow Sport. I was reading her post about it on LinkedIn, and she makes the point that the Alpine funding was cut in 2022 to £82,000, and that was essentially for Dave Riding. They were just going to fund Dave Riding. Dave, being the guy that he is, said, well, we've got 82 grand, let's spread it as much as we possibly can across the entire team. And then obviously as an organisation, GB Snow Sport brought in other income to support their other athletes, and we're seeing some terrific results here as well.
Incredible performance, incredible story there, and incredible performances to start the World Cup season. And as we mentioned, lots more World Cup action to come in the days to come. We'll keep an eye on all of our socials because we are moving on to Milan on the podcast. But we're also looking ahead to LA because there's some other news from the games earlier on this month. And beach rowing is a brand new sport for LA in 2028. Great Britain finished the 2025 World Rowing Beach Sprint Finals. Catchy title, in Turkey with a gold, silver and bronze medal. We also know the women's 100-metre final in athletics will kick off the gold medal rush in the iconic LA Memorial Coliseum, the stadium there, famous, of course, as we mentioned in our very first podcast with the memories of LA 84. The rounds and the final of the women's 100 metres will all be in day one. In fact, day one of the entire games, Saturday, July 15th, 2028. It's going to be incredible to see Dina Asher-Smith and Julian Alfred, defending champion, all the Americans going, of course, in that stadium. We know athletics has swapped with swimming to kick off the games, but the athletics will also last all the way through. So a bit like the curling, athletics will start day one and it will finish on the final day with the men's marathon. The LA full schedule is out right now. It's available. It's worth looking through because if you want to start thinking about where you might be wanting to go or when you might want to go, this is the time to start looking at it.
I need to sort what I'm doing at the Winter Olympics first, then the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Then I might start looking through it. But thank you for the imploring the advice there on me to start checking out LA as well. I'm not sure I've got the headspace for another major multi-sport event.
And one other headline before we finish. The former world and Commonwealth para table tennis champion Ross Wilson has announced his retirement from the sport, unfortunately due to injury. The 30-year-old three-time Paralympian also won Paralympic team medals in London 2012, 2016 in Rio and Tokyo 2020. And he started playing the sport when he was spotted at Centre Parks. I mean, that is something for us all to aim at this Christmas holidays. If you're going for a break and there's a table tennis table there, you could be spotted and compete in the likes of the Worlds and the Commonwealths. Well done to Ross, and we wish him well in the rest of his career.
Yeah, no break for us over Christmas. As I said, Olympics to organise, Paralympics, Winter Paralympics to organise, and then the Commonwealth Games as well. European Athletics in Birmingham next year. I mean, there's just so much for us to get our teeth into. So make sure you keep following Anything But Footy across all of our social media platforms. And don't forget, go online, check us out as well at our website, anythingbutfooty.com. You can find blogs there. You can find some interviews there that you want to listen to. You can read more about us. Some lovely pictures of us both there as well. If you want to indulge yourself with some Olympics music, and I've noticed some radio stations have started playing Christmas songs this week, so I got whammed already getting in the car this morning. So if you want to try and avoid the festive tunes for a few more weeks, like I think you should, Spotify Olympics music playlist is available for you now. And do stay with us. We're moving on to Milan and we're looking ahead to LA.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.